Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Seer 365 session, Automate to Innovate. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome everyone to today's session. It's going to be a really, really good one. As ever with a Seer 365 session, as you're watching, whether you're watching live or on demand, feel free to put any questions in the chat. And if we get them live, then we'll answer them as and when we are able. And if we see them on demand, then someone will be in touch very, very soon to help with the response. So today for Automate to Innovate, we're going to be talking all about the concept of automation. And this is, on its surface, how we go about automating manual processes to kind of save time. But as we'll see, the topic actually goes a lot deeper. There is an intertwined management of people, software, and change to deliver new efficiencies and value. To help explore this topic, I'm joined by a fantastic cross-section of experiences from across the IT transformation world. First up, we have Tracy, Interim CFO from Web Expenses.
Hi there, as Rufus has said, I'm Tracy Richardson. I work for Web Expenses, been there for 2 years. So Web Expenses is an expense management solution. It tracks your expenses and does reports, and it automates them. So this is a really good webinar to be on.
Excellent. Thank you, Tracy. We're also joined by Alan, who is the planning and delivery site lead at Ryan.
Hello, Rufus. Hi, everyone. My name is Alan, as you said. I'm the planning and delivery lead in Ryanair. I'm 8 years in the company, and basically my team's making sure that the application we use across Ryanair department work as they should. And it's a pleasure to be here today.
Excellent. Thank you, Alan. And last, but by absolutely no means least, we are also joined by Salim, who is Head of Sales at IntelliSense IT.
Fantastic. Thanks for inviting me, Rufus. Super excited about being on the discussion with everybody. IntelliSense are a Microsoft solution integrator. We've done well over 160, probably heading towards 170 successful implementations across a diverse range of sectors. So hopefully we can share a little bit of that experience on the discussion today.
Excellent. Thank you, Salim. So to kick off today's discussion, I guess I wanted to start with maybe sort of setting out what some of the challenges are around adopting automation. Maybe what's the sort of the single biggest challenge that you have encountered while engaging in a automation or transformation project?
So from a finance perspective, because that's where I'm going to come from, is basically striking the balance between the efficiency and control. So automation, everyone always thinks about, it's going to make everything efficient so people can start adding value. But from a finance, it's making sure that compliance and rules are within that, and it's striking that balance going forward. So it's all about governance for us and making sure that's correct. And it's not just about the tech side of it.
Excellent. Thanks, Tracy. Alan, Salim?
I second Tracy in the finance area. That's key. What she shared is key. I want to add just from an aviation point of view, we deal with a lot of legacy systems, and this is also bringing in the complex aspect of ensuring the data integrity across multiple platforms is maintained, especially because, again, in the finance area, the audit trail is kind of holy for us, right? You need to always prove that the data were not manipulated.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from my side of things, Rufus, just to, in addition to what the guys have just said, but maybe just zooming out a little bit, the two key issues for me, which are always on par, one that Alan's just touched on there lightly, data and data migration is always something, and data strategy is always a big challenge and a big concern in terms of making sure that customers have the right perspective and have prepared for those challenges in advance, as well as the other one me is the people impact and the change impact, and making sure that you have the right communication strategy in place to make sure we take the whole organisation on the journey with us, rather than just treating it like an IT project. So from our perspective, those would be the two biggest challenges.
No, absolutely. And I've definitely seen projects where there's been this perception that because it's maybe new technology, it sits with the IT team, or because it's a new finance system, we'll just get the finance team to kind of be involved and lead that project. And actually, there tends to be a lot of stakeholders outside of that core group who also need to have a say and kind of be aware of what's going on. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly from my side of things, I think we, as a responsible partner, what we always do is to make sure that we set all of our customers up for success. And it's really important. It'll be interesting to hear Alan and Tracy's perspective on this, in terms of making sure that we've got open communication, even at the pre-sale stage, where we spend a lot of time with our customers to make sure that we're setting them up for success and that they've got all the fundamentals in place. And that is far beyond just the technology. So I'm talking about making sure that they've got the right vision and strategy in place. As I mentioned, that they've got some sort of perspective on change. It doesn't have to be some big complicated change plan. It can be loose or tacit, as long as there's a perspective and a certain thinking there, as well as making sure the right governance is there, as well as technology. So we spend a lot of time making sure that we invest in the project overall success and the customer success in that way. But be interesting to hear how the guys prepare for these things as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I also would add resource in there, because some finance, I'm sort of narrowing it down to my experiences. We went through a change last year, and it was making sure that systems actually integrated as well. And it does touch everyone within the business. But again, it's having the right resource to deliver that project as well, to make sure that it is successful, to deliver the plan that it's supposed to. So I totally agree with you, Salim.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that piece there that you just mentioned, Tracy, it'll be interesting to see what Alan's perspective is on this as well. Just that organizational readiness. Sometimes, again, and a lot of our customers appreciate this, is we might ask what initially is perceived to be awkward questions, but that's not for the sake of wanting to be a challenger. It's just making sure that the customers have thought about things in the right way, to make sure, have they actually got an executive sponsor in place for the initiative? Does that individual understand what it means to be an executive sponsor? Have they got the right subject matter experts identified from the key areas within the business, so that obviously a technology expert like ourselves will know the technology, but we are not going to know the business the way that Alan would know the business, or the way that you would know your business, Tracy. So yeah, I mean, these are just some of the really important things that I think, as Rufus mentioned, is so wide and ranging, the whole digital transformation dialogue. But it'll be interesting to see how Alan's prepared for these things as well.
I agree with you that engaging the right people in all the phases is a critical aspect of this job. Especially, as I was saying before, we are sitting in a place with a lot of legacy way of doing the things, and sometimes the data can look in a certain way, but without the right interpretation from who knows why the data was built in that way, why the process was designed in that way, you miss a part, right? You can be misled. That's why we'll probably touch this later on, but automating something without knowing exactly what you're automating, you are only bringing more mistake in a faster way, right? So I agree with you. Yeah, it's key to have important people in the project from the beginning, both as a sponsor, but also on the day-to-day. Many people that are no, don't want to refer specifically to Ryanair, because in Ryanair, each person, even manager, they have work, okay? They have not a real work, okay? So even being a manager is a real work, but you know what I mean, right? I'm a manager of team, but I also have my own project to handle. And the same is for all my colleagues in all the departments. So what I'm saying is that it's important to have the right people during this project.
And Alan, I know you went through this automation project, and you have other automation projects, planned and in the pipeline. I mean, what kind of activities do you do to prepare for a project with change within it?
So first thing, just to give an overview of what my teams are doing, so that the audience can also have understanding. So we are supporting all the applications that the department are using in both from the office and in the plane. So all our colleagues are using our application. So the goal of our team is not only to ensuring that the day-to-day is working, right, but also to ensure that the business is taking all the advantages that are both in the system, but also ahead of the system, because many partners are already embracing the automation. Many new partners will be onboarded thanks to, new ideas that are coming in. So our team are basically scoping this. We also have a large internal workforce. We are more than 500 in Ryanair Labs. So we have a real development organization where we are building up this kind of stuff. So what we are doing. So first of all, we need to know what the business is doing. That's why we are not only maintaining the IT system, but we are there with the business, building up the new process. Documenting the process was something we have done already. As I said, it's 8 years I'm here. But the new processes are built together. It's not that the business is coming with, it's no longer that the business is coming with, hey, I need IT to move a file from here to here. Now the business is coming with a problem. And we discuss together what technology can do for you. And then together we assess the pro and the cons. And this is what I think what is important is that you need the subject matter expert in the group.
I think that's a mega important point that you just raised there, because I mean, from our perspective, as in somebody that would actually execute the integration of whatever the solution might be, and the technology isn't important, whatever technology you're using. I think the key question that we would always ask is, what are the business outcomes that you're looking to achieve from the technology? And we would always expect customers to be able to verbalize that and explain to us in very clear terms what are the strategic objectives that they want the technology to satisfy, so that we can quantify the implementation, we can measure the results, and be in a position where you can look anybody in the eye across the organization and explain the value that has been transferred through the automation, through the integration, or the wider transformation journey that you've been through, not just in technology terms, but also in commercial terms as well. We always find that a really interesting kind of dialogue to engage, particularly, executives and operational leaders, as well as subject matter experts, to make sure that we have that matrix kind of view of what the organization is trying to achieve from that corporate perspective, but also from a departmental perspective as well.
Excellent. And Tracy, I think we've covered some really, really good points, right, in terms of the need for kind of documentation of process and for kind of the identification of the endpoint and some of the goals as part of the project. Is there anything you'd add to that, or any kind of misconceptions that you think need to be addressed?
So I think with automation, misconceptions, people automatically go to that they're going to be replaced and that you no longer need those individuals within that role. They automatically go to that, and that's definitely not the case. It's more that you're bringing that automation in so people are freed up to actually review the numbers rather than doing the numbers, to have that report, to have that strategic review and see the numbers matter and what they're delivering. And then you can upskill that talent so they're adding value back to the business. So it all goes back to what both of you been saying about the strategic objectives for the business and giving the time and efficiency, I suppose. So, but yeah, I think misconception is that it means it's going to replace people's roles, and that's not always the case. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think, naturally I go to expenses because we've got web expenses on the webinar. But, I think there's this perception that actually if we can move people away from these very time-consuming activities and towards the ones where they can actually add additional value, I mean, that's fantastic for the business, right? And that's not necessarily like a role replacement. It doesn't lead to any kind of job losses necessarily.
Absolutely, totally agree with that. And again, it gives you've got more real-time information, and business decisions can be made quite quickly from that automation. So that helps not just finance, but the whole business it touches. So absolutely.
Alan, Celine?
Please go ahead.
Sorry, I agree with Tracy from the human part. The human aspect is exactly what she described. What I can add here is that another misconception I do see is that some people expect, apart the initial resistance, there are then the too much enthusiastic, right? The one that think that the automation is coming with a one-time project. We are automating and tomorrow, bang, everything is there. While in reality, we know that this is a continuous journey, right? We need to work on this, especially in sector like in aviation, where the regulation is evolving over the time. So it's not always the right time to do automation in a certain place, but also in finance, where, as we already said, there is a kind of non-negotiable compliance aspect to see, right? Something yesterday was untouchable, today we are more flexible to automate. So we need to figure out to look at this like more a long-term journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just going back to what Tracy was saying as well, it's really important that because we're all human, right? And we all have those kinds of insecurities where you think that the automation or the technology is going to replace your role. And this comes back to having that perspective on people, on change, to make sure that we've got a plan to redeploy the time gained through the automation into genuine value-adding activities that then go back to support the business outcomes that we all agree that the organization was trying to achieve. And this is also for me where communication strategy is equally important here, because whoever the overall exec sponsors and the leadership of the initiative are, again, it's their duty of care to make sure they're communicating on a regular basis and very clearly to make sure that they take the whole organization on the journey with them, so everybody understands why they're doing the initiative and what benefits it's going to bring to them and to the company.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I think you need to have everyone on board. And I really liked your point, Alan, about, what is kind of sacred today might be malleable or changeable tomorrow. And it's kind of identifying those opportunities as well. I mean, just to kind of delve into that in a little bit more detail, what does good look like in terms of kind of automation timing? What should you keep an eye out for in terms of when you're looking at projects like these?
Sorry if I'm taking this.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's where, to be honest, the subject matter expert play a vital role, especially if you want to be a first mover. And this aspect, I do recognize that we are a really great player in many of the departments in Ryanair, and they often come back to us saying, hey, look, in 6 months, the regulation is changing there. Do you think we can prepare and be on the first day there. So the people are passionate about the job, and this is giving you the first mover. Then again, we are always listening the market. So I know that many of my colleagues don't like to meet vendors that want to but in reality vendors might propose you an idea that is going to revolutionize your work, and of course we cannot spend all the time that the salespeople would like to, but I try to give time to this kind of stuff, because I know that I don't know everything, right? So it's good to be open.
No, that's lovely. And I really like that idea of almost like harnessing people's passion and their desire to kind of be their best selves as well. Tracy, from a sort of like a finance perspective, I mean, when, finance is the kind of beating heart of the business, and a lot of those processes are the same across multiple different, industries in a lot of ways. I mean, when do you kind of identify a time to change, or a need to change, or a desire to optimize?
I suppose that's a really good question, Rufus. So throughout my journey of finance, I think it's when the tasks become repetitive, and that that there are solutions out there that can automate, like an expense management solution like Web Expenses, where you've got manual processes where there's room for errors. I mean, finance use Excel spreadsheets. You'll never get us away from an Excel spreadsheet, but we love them. But where you've got, I suppose, compliance coming in, HMRC rules that we have embedded into like our expense management system, where things are evolving, changing, that helps in a way. So going back to your question, I don't think I've really answered it, sorry. When does that, I think it's where the business needs to move faster, make quicker decisions, and be able to have that real time. I go back to the real time information. So, so a month end's not taking weeks on end to do. It's taking 5 days, because I'm able to look at the numbers rather than doing the numbers, because that's what matters at the end of the day. So I can be able to go back to the sales team and go, what we delivered this month, because I can see it, because it's automated, it's come through a system. And I think that's where we've evolved, especially in finance, through the times of days of the ledger books and writing things down. It's moved. But so yeah, it's making quick decisions and being able to move with the market. So
yeah. Oh, excellent, thank you. And Salim, anything you'd like to add around this?
Yeah, I think just generally, I think the points that everyone has raised is absolutely relevant. I think the key focus really on any initiative is always to make sure that we have those overarching outcomes, and make sure that that is the contextual framework for anything that we do, and make sure that we always, and that keeps everybody laser focused, to make sure that if an interesting side discussion arises in the automation or in the transformation project, you can always bring the conversation back to what the agreed outcomes were, so that ultimately you are delivering what you said you were going to deliver from the beginning, and ultimately able to impact the business in the right way.
Excellent. Thank you, Salim. So I'm conscious of time. So if you are watching this and you have any burning questions that you'd like anyone on the panel today to answer, please do drop those into the comments now. Alternatively, if you're watching on demand, feel free to reach out to any of us on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to the Web Expenses partnership team via partners@webexpenses.com. Web Expenses very, very kindly organised this call, worked together to bring this all together. I'm just a humble host on today's session. And for you all, I mean, while we're sort of waiting in terms of questions, sort of one last question from me. I mean, how Alan's mentioned the importance of subject matter experts a couple of times. How do subject matter experts stay subject matter experts, and how do they stay ahead in industries that are constantly changing?
That's a good one. I think as a finance professional, you need to pair the technical literacy that's out there with strategic thinking. That's the way I would go. Just what's out there, what's there at the moment, and just keeping ahead of the game.
Yeah, and actually, I think that touches upon a really important point of you can't necessarily just be limited by the tools or the technology that you have at your disposal today, right? You need to keep an open mind, and also you want to be business-led rather than product-led.
Absolutely, totally, 100% agree with that.
Alan, Salim, anything you'd like to add around this?
Well, just from being in a fast-paced industry like technology, not only do you have to keep up with the latest kind of developments, but also as well, if you're servicing high compliance sectors like finance, HR, anything to do with data, it's really mega important. Just from your own integrity as a professional to be up to speed with all of the latest developments in your particular area. And that is going back to Alan's point, the whole purpose of making sure you have the subject matter expert, whether that is HR, whether that's finance, whether that is marketing, whatever, so that they can bring that expertise as well as all of the latest trends and issues to the table for the technology or the initiative to resolve.
Thanks, Salim. I'm happy that many people will go out from this session with, I think also my thoughts that are the two key components here are the data and the people. Those are the things that will lead this area. The data, even the one that at the minute we think we cannot use. I mean, technology is so fast that maybe in a year time we will be able to use it. So keep clean data, document, and keep the good people with you, because those are the people that will help you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and I mean, I was going to summarize, but to be honest, I think Alan's done it very, very succinctly.
Oh, sorry.
No. I think you're absolutely right. I think data is only going to be more and more important. It is being discussed as the new oil, as it were, and I think also actually, remember the importance of people as part of these processes. They are the ones that think. They are the ones that keep an open mind. They are the ones that identify change and opportunities to improve as well. Brilliant. Well, I can't see any questions just on LinkedIn at the moment. So once again, if you do have any, please feel free to reach out to any of us on LinkedIn. Otherwise, all that remains is for me to say thank you, massive thank you to Web Expenses and Tracy, Ryanair and Alan, and IntelliSense IT and Salim. Thank you all for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.